talking in hopes of a plea bargain. But when you read back verbatim what they're saying to persuade them, you realize exactly how I play them. I come with the truth, whole truth, and nothing but. Cause the truth hurts just as much as fucking with live will. I prove skill with refills from now until plagiarizing MCs get their flows distilled.
Baby, I won't die without you by my side, as long as you return into these arms that burn. Baby, I won't die. Just take a look inside, into these eyes that burn. Come to these arms that yearn. I won't die if you. The truth hurts because the truth hide from the truth, cause the truth is all there is. The truth is all there is. You can't hide from the truth, cause the truth is all there is. You can't hide from the truth, because the truth is all there is. You can't hide from the truth. I've never seen a diamond in the flesh. I cut my teeth on wedding rings in the movies, and I'm not proud of my address. In a torn up town, no postcode envy, but every song's like gold teeth, grey goose dripping in the bathroom, bloodstains, ball gowns, trash in the hotel room. We don't care. We're driving Cadillacs in our dreams, but everybody's like crystal, Maybach, diamonds on your timepiece, jet planes, islands, tigers on a gold leash. We don't care. We aren't caught up in your love affair, and we'll never be royal. It's a run in our blood. That kind of luck's just ain't for us. We crave a different kind of buzz. Let me be your ruler. You can call me Queen Bee, and baby I'll rule. Let me live that fantasy. My friends and I, we've cracked the code. We count our dollars on the train to the party, and everyone who knows us knows that we're fine with this. We didn't.
Oh, sorry. Audio check 1 2. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Testing 1 2 3. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Audio test 1 2. Audio test 1 2.
Caught up in your love affair, and we'll never be royal. It's a run in our blood. That kind of luck's just ain't for us. We crave a different kind of buzz. Let me be your ruler. You can call me Queen Bee, and baby I'll rule. Let me live that fantasy.
Clapped in church on Sunday morning. Grandma's hand played a tambourine so well. Grandma's hand used to issue her hand. Put yourself in Jesus' hands, Grandma's hand. Grandma's hand used to hand me a piece of candy. Grandma's hand picked me up each time I fell. Grandma's hand, boy, they really came in handy. She'd say, Matty, don't you whip that boy. What you wanna spank him for? He didn't drop no apple core, but I don't have Grandma If I get to heaven, I'll look for Grandma's hand.
She said, don't you worry if I disappear. I told her I'm not really looking for another mistake. I called an old friend thinking that the trouble would wait, but then I jumped right in. A week later returned. I reckon she was only looking for a lover to burn, but I gave her my time for 2 or 3 nights. Then I put it on pause until the moment was right. I went away 4 months until our paths crossed again. She told me I was never looking for a friend. Maybe you could swing by my room around 10. Baby, bring the lemon and a bottle of gin. We'll be in between the sheets till the late AM. Baby, if you wanted me, then you should've just said she's singing. Don't win my love. That heart is so cold, all over my own. I don't wanna know that, babe. Don't win my love. I told her she knows. Take aim and reload. I don't wanna know that, babe. And for a couple weeks I only wanna see her. We drink away the days with a takeaway pizza. Before a text message was the only way to reach her. Now she's staying at my place and loves the way I treat her. Singing out Aretha all over the track like a feature. And never wants to sleep, I guess that I don't want to either. But me and her, we make money the same way. 4 cities, 2 planes the same day. And those shows have never been what it's about, but maybe we'll go together and just figure it out. I'd rather put on a film with you and sit on the couch, but we should get on a plane or we'll be missing it now. Wish I'd have written it down, the way that things played out when she was kissing him, how I was confused about. Now she should figure it out while I'm sat here singing. Don't win my love. That heart is so cold, all over my own. I don't wanna know that, babe. Don't win my love. I told her she knows. Take aim and reload. I don't wanna know that, babe. On my hotel door, I don't even know if she knows what for. She was crying on my shoulder. I already told you, trust and respect is what we do this for. I never intended to be next, but you didn't need to take him to bed, that's all. And I never saw him as a threat until you disappeared with him to have sex, of course. It's not like we were both on tour. We were staying at the same hotel floor. And I wasn't looking for a promise or commitment, but it was never just fun, and I thought you were different. This is not the way you realize what you wanted. It's a bit too much, too late if I'm honest. And all this time, God knows I'm singing. Don't win my love. That heart is so cold, all over my own. I don't wanna know that, babe. Don't win my love. I told her she knows. Take aim and reload. I don't wanna know that, babe. Don't win my love. That heart is so cold, all over my own. I don't wanna know that, babe. Don't win my love. I told her she knows. Take aim and reload. I don't wanna know that, babe.
ruling the way that I move. And I breathe your air. You only can rescue me. This is my prayer. If you are mine, if you are mine, I wouldn't want to go to heaven. Cherish the day, I won't go astray, I won't be afraid, won't catch me running. You're ruling the way that I move. You take my hand. You show me how deep love can be. Ruling the way that I move. And I breathe your air. You only can rescue me. This is my prayer.
yesterday.
Cherish the day. Cherish the day. Cherish the day. Cherish the day. Cherish the day.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Samsung studio. We're going to begin our panel within the next 1 to 2 minutes, please. 1 to 2 minutes. If you are in the main studio area or in the cafe or downstairs at one of our interactive elements, please come join us in the main panel room. The panel will be starting within 1 to 2 minutes. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. A little bit better than that. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's great to see some familiar faces in the audience today. It's going to be a very, very, very exciting panel. Is anyone excited to see anyone specific today? Everybody. Good. Well, welcome again to our Samsung studio here at 2016 Sundance Film Festival. Just to let everybody know, we are broadcasting this panel live via the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, which is one of our modes in the camera setting, which is called live broadcasting, so directly to YouTube. So if you know anyone who's missing this today, number one is you should call them and text them right now, but if not, tell them to check it out once they are at home or whatever within their leisure. But again, this panel is our Deadline Hollywood panel of the birth of a nation. And today I want you all to help me to welcome our moderator, who is the legal and film editor of Deadline Hollywood, Dominic Patton, producers Kevin Turin, Jason Berman, and Aaron Gilbert, who will be joined by cast Armie Hammer, Penelope Ann Miller, Chike Okonkwo, and of course the writer, director, producer, and star himself, Mr. Nate Parker.
Thank you so much for everyone joining us today. And of course, this is live streaming on Deadline.com and all over, and we really appreciate everyone watching. I just have to say, I usually don't do this, but I have to say it, and I wrote about it last night. I went to the premiere of The Birth of a Nation last night at a sold-out Eccles Theater that was jam-packed. It was one of the most emotional experiences I have ever had seeing a film in decades. And it's all thanks to this man and the people who are up here on the stage today. And I think they deserve another round of applause. Let's also add that not only did Nate and everyone up here make this film, but they have sold it now for what is a Sundance record-breaking sale to Fox Searchlight. So with that, Nate, let's talk about that. You know, there were people crying in the seats. It was a very diverse audience, and there was I counted at least 3 standing ovations when you guys were up in there. So, you know, you've gotten all this buyer activity. People were out in the lobby as I was walking out. You could see them working the phones. What has this been like for you to have such a powerful reaction after all that you put into making of Birth of a Nation?
You know, it's hard to put in words. I spent the morning with my phone off, trying to wrap my head around it. And it was quite emotional because I knew what I wanted to do. I've always known what I wanted to do, but you just don't know the impact it's going to have on people. You know, art can be so subjective, especially when you want to make a social impact and you're not thinking about commerce. So to see the reaction, even leaving the theater, I was kind of in a fog, but it was the kind that, you know, where I was like, this is actually happening. And what it told me is that, you know, we have all these issues, and, you know, there's so many people that are apathetic and have like a fatalistic approach when it comes to like injustice and justice and dealing with the injury, whether it be the injury of slavery or the Holocaust or anything that's happened in the past that we need to heal from. But this tells me that there is hope. And I felt like that this is, you know, when everyone talks about the time, it's so timely, it's so timely. I think, yes, it's timely because we're having all these issues with, you know, police brutality but it also says it's timely because people are starting to be open to the idea of the possibility of change, you know, and I feel like people are right there at the cusp, and if you could just push them over and have them start thinking a different way, they can rewire themselves to step away from that apathy of saying it's this is my bubble, it's that's bigger than me, I don't want to deal with it. And you can challenge them to step out just a bit and say, well, can I do something? Can I be effective?
You talked about it yesterday. You talked about one of the main reasons you made this film was to create agents of change.
That's right. In the theater, you all, I want everyone to be challenged. It's kind of like a battle cry, you know, from a filmmaking standpoint, because yes, we need to deal with the pervasive racism in Hollywood, but also in society. So, you know, I wanted a film that people could watch and be affected, you know, almost hold them hostage in the theater where they have to see these images and they have to see the parallels and the themes that are echoing right now in 2016. And then they can't unknow it. They can't unsee what they saw. And when they leave, they have to ask themselves, well, what is my role? Or am I doing all I could be doing? Am I being passive? Am I complicit? And then I feel like that's how we create change. It's not by berating people. It's not by hitting people over the head. It's just putting the thought in their head, in their minds, and putting the images in front of their face. So I feel like, I felt like I had a victory before I came because the movie was made with these wonderful and talented people that believed in me and trusted me as a first-time director that had never done anything. And all I had, in my opinion, was my ability to inspire and encourage.
And let's talk about that, because the story, I mean, I think in a lot of ways the story of how you made this film is actually should go down in the Sundance. It should go down in Sundance legend, because this is a question of a man. You know, you've made feature films like Red Tails. You've done in a lot of different things, but this was a situation where you made a decision about how you wanted your career to go, the kind of work you wanted to do. And then you had to hustle like crazy. So before we talk about that part, I just want to understand, because I don't think a lot of people know the story of Nat Turner.
Right.
You know, so how did you learn the story, and then how did you make the film?
Wow. Well, I grew up in Norfolk, Virginia, about 42 miles east of Southampton County. And I'd heard Nat Turner's name, but it was never through the context of heroism. It was this like mystic, whispered idea of a man that killed white people, but there was no context, and it definitely wasn't something I learned in school. It wasn't until I went to college, I took African American Studies class, thousands of miles away from where I grew up, that a professor opened up, this unit with Nat Turner, the revolutionary, the hero, and I thought to myself, like, I questioned the heroism of my own ancestor, because in my mind, with the sanitized history I'd been given, there were no people that stood up. We endured.
And then the Civil War happened.
Honest Abe with the mole and the top hat was like, this is terrible, enough is enough. And then we were free, and we break the chains, and then the civil rights movement, and we shall overcome, and everything's good, and we have a black president, so there's no racism. It's like the narrative is so skewed and so sanitized and so wrong. So learning about this person in this context, I felt like I felt stronger. I didn't feel like I was propped up. We talk about the anger of young black males. A lot of it has to do with not having someone they can look up to that gives them context as to what intelligence and what resistance is and what honor is and what patriotism is. So learning about this man that embodied the ideals more so than many of our forefathers just made me feel more proud about being an African man.
But then as a filmmaker, you had to go on a journey of your own. I mean,
Yeah,
I need
no,
to tell
I
you this. Are any of you San Antonio Spurs fans?
Yes, sir.
Well, if you're fans of this film, you might want to consider, because Tony Parker really helped out and put some money into this.
Yes, he did. He absolutely did. And I would brief in just how it came to fruition. It was like a trust fall. The trust falls where you fall and the people behind you just really have to trust them. So by faith, I kind of just stepped away from acting and said, this is important to me, so I want to do it. And it took a lot of, door knocking. A director friend of mine calls it kissing frogs. He said, you're going to have to kiss a lot of frogs, and every once in a while you meet a prince. And so I crisscrossed the country just begging,
You
and
put your own money into this, too.
Absolutely. I put about $100,000 of my own money into the film. And so I was on the hook, and I just bought a house, so I had a mortgage, and I have a wife, and she was supportive, but every once in a while she looked at me like, what are we doing? But I put it all on the line because I felt like if it works, then we're here, hopefully, and people, and independent filmmakers, people out there that are being told no every day, that has a script that they know is good, that they know can have an impact, but the no's are just beating them in the head, that maybe this film could give them that little pickup that makes them think, well, maybe I can do it too, so raised a lot of money, but really it was bringing on people that trusted me enough to take a risk. Let's make no mistake, it wasn't anything magic in a bottle. It was me talking to Jason, talking to Kevin, talking to Aaron, saying, I believe this film will have an impact and it will have an audience beyond whatever this self-perpetuating idea that people don't want to see. I think that's nonsense. And I think if we just build it, they will come. If we build it honestly and unapologetically, they will come. And they responded. I mean, Jason and Kevin, their whole thing, I said, get me in the room with anyone and I will close it. Just get me in the room. I don't care. Get me in the room. I don't care where I have to go. I spend my own money. I was in West Palm Beach, Oregon. I went everywhere. Just get me in the room. Introduce me to whoever. And I walk into the room. And as an actor, our careers, survive kind of on this mystique, kind of like you don't really see all of our face, in magazines, but you see us through, the paparazzi, finger. But to have to get out and ask a person for something as an actor is a very difficult thing to do because they're used to seeing you on the screen, and so now they're connecting to you. Now you're almost giving away power. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, you need something from me. I revered you when on the screen because I couldn't touch you. But now you're asking me for something. Let's see what do you want?
Yeah.
And I have to
You're
do my
just the guy in my
dance.
office
I
now.
literally be like, so, what I need, I need money. Can you do it for me? That was I swear, that's what I had to do every day. And then and they'd be like, we got another guy for you to meet. We got another guy. Can you be here? Can you fly there? Can you fly? I'm on my way. And I wasn't sleeping. It was the hardest thing. Then we pulled together the money, most of it.
So now, how much does it budgeted for the film?
Am I allowed? I always say more than $1, less than $1 billion. But I think
Under 10.
Yeah, just under 10, whatever. But let's just say this. I want to get this out because I want them to talk. I'm not going to hijack your interview.
You can hijack it. Say it, my man.
But we raised a lion's share portion, and we were stuck. And Army had been so gracious as to turn down jobs. I remember talking to them and being like, having to make that call. And be like, I'm about to talk and say, what am I going to tell you? I'm practicing my head like, Army, yeah, man, we're almost there. Trust me, man. I love your brother. All that. So I call him, and I didn't have to. He'd be like, dude, I'm with you, man. Don't worry. We're going to do this thing. It's great. He just had the ultimate confidence. And the last piece of the puzzle was Aaron Gilbert. I was introduced to him through WME, Graham Taylor, and they said, we want you to meet this guy, and he seems intrigued. And I coach high school wrestling, so we're at a tournament, and in between matches and rounds, and I run out and I'm on the bleachers. I just given my kids like this speech about winning and whatever, and then the phone rings, and I'm mid-speech like Lombardi or something. I'm like, this is go. You can do it. You do it. I'm like, yes, Nate Parker. Hi. How you doing? And we end up talking for an hour. Then we end up setting up a meeting. 5-minute meeting went 4 hours. We cried and cried and cried. And it had nothing really to do with the film, but it had everything to do with what we want to see change in the world and how we felt like if we just had a chance, if we just had, the pieces in place, we could do something. He had, the financing, I had the passion, and we were able to put it together.
Now, guys, I have to ask you following that, and I want to know from all three of you, seeing getting there, then, which is for most filmmakers, that's the accomplishment. Oh, I made my film. Then you get it here, accomplishment number 2. Then you have the reaction like what we saw last night. Then you have the record-breaking deal with Fox Searchlight. I just want to know from you guys, what has this ride been like, and what does it feel like right now?
I don't think when you set out on this, you could sort of set your expectations any higher than what we did. I think we knew from the moment that we met, all of us individually met Nate, knew this picture, wanted to be involved. We knew that this thing had something special and it was going to be something special, and all we could do is focus on making the best possible movie. And then we wanted to, Nate says this all the time, we wanted to share it with the world, and get it out there. We were so confident in this movie. We were talking last night when we were on our way to our crazy set of meetings that we had last night, which went till 6:30 this morning. And
hence the coffee in your hand, Aaron?
Yeah, that's it. I have a drip. We said we were in the car and we were all shockingly calm because we knew what we had. We knew we had something incredibly special here. And really so many companies, so many great companies stepped up and wanted to be involved in this film, and really thrilled with where we ended up. And the fact that we're a record-breaking, Sundance acquisition is pretty damn incredible. So.
Just Aaron for a second. Nate, I want to ask you, as Aaron said, this record-breaking 17.5 with Fox Searchlight, but you guys were filling offers from Sony and Netflix and Paramount and the Weinsteins. Why did you go with Fox Searchlight?
For me, I've been on this journey 7 years, and at every turn, I always use this term, I put my ear in my stomach and listen. I don't have the luxury of experience. This is my first rodeo when it comes to making a feature film. So I pray really, really, really hard, and then I listen, and I listen, and I listen, and then I get an answer, and I go with it, and I don't question it. It's the way we shot the film in 27 days. Any of you guys that know anything about filmmaking, we needed probably 47 days, but we didn't have time to doubt. We didn't have time to argue with each other about anything. It was prep, obsess, pray, do it. We just didn't have the luxury of thinking, So when we were in these meetings, I decided, and Graham Taylor, who sold the film, he's just a remarkable man. I mean, he's so strong, and he understands.
So, Graham Taylor is one of the primary agents at William Morris Endeavor.
He's the reason, we had this sale, because he understood the film, and he set the stage for us. We didn't have to come in and do a song and dance, because he'd already set the stage. Every single option was a wonderful option, and they were very compelling. It was very difficult, but ultimately, with Searchlight, I felt a connection and a humanity. On just a human level. And I'm not to say that it wasn't there with the others, but there was a relationship. There was a synergy with respect to the impact we want it to have on the world and the global approach, and breaking down systems. Because this film is about recognizing systems and breaking them down. There is a system that is based on race that says African American films don't sell. So this is a win for independent filmmakers. This is a blow against white supremacy and racism in this country and abroad. So we don't have to accept those. We don't have to accept those rules. We don't have to accept those rules. Those ideas that started before we start doing it. Who made up the rule? No one knows. Who the first person? Who said that? I don't know. Who made that rule? No one knows. Yet we abide by them? No more. I'm swinging a hammer. I want to break everything. Subvert. Just
I have to ask you, obviously there's been yet again another year of Oscars So White. What do you think? Do you think change is ready to happen?
Well, I can speak to change. I do. This is what I feel. I feel that we can deal with symptoms or we can deal with the sickness. The reality is D.W. Griffith, he pulled a number on us.
Just to mention that for a second.
Yeah.
This film is utilizing the title of the infamous 1915 D.W. Griffith film, also Birth of a Nation, which essentially gave the rebirth to the Ku Klux Klan.
That's right.
Established white supremacy as it existed in America from at least 50 years, from at least 1915 to 1965 with the Civil Rights Act. And really also was a thing, because it was on this new medium of film,
it was magic.
It mesmerized people with magic. It's so amazing how you took the name.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of like, it's like right now VR, all these wonderful things that are happening with VR. It's a medium we don't really understand. I put the glasses on and a train came at me and I nearly dove out of the way, like it was. But that's, that happened. When at the beginning of film, I forget the French filmmaker's name, I'm blanking. He had, they had the box, they looked in the box, and the train came at them, and people were diving out of the way because they didn't understand the medium, right? The themes, the parallels. Yeah. Lumiere, exactly. So when you have this magical platform, right, and you're a country that is reeling from slavery, and you're in Reconstruction, there's desperate poverty, and you're looking for an answer. You're trying to figure out your trajectory, how you're going to move forward. And along comes this person with this idea that says, look, for us to really ensure self-preservation amongst our people, we have to buy into this white supremacist view against these blacks. If not, they're going to overtake us, and then we really will have nothing. If we band together as whites to preserve our race, then we will win. So you have all these people that bought in. 4 million, the KKK was all but gone in 1875, but 1915, 4 million they raised too. And I'm not talking about people that went to the Elks Lodge, and played bingo. I'm talking about people that went out and tortured people of African descent.
Lynching,
castration.
There's photographs
right.
You can see that people took. They treated it as a Sunday event.
That's exactly right. And all of that, so it's whether it's social, and this was the very first feature film. So you can imagine we stand on the foundation of such a racially gross time period. Right? So for me, in reclaiming this name, I'm not just reclaiming it for, the black community. I'm reclaiming it for all of us, right? No more, dude, D.W. Griffith, like I said before, his bones are doing backflips, and that's okay, because he's forever yoked to Nat Turner. And the true birth of this nation, a birth of people that are self-determined, are willing to face injustices head on, are willing to deal with our problems, a nation that's willing to change things for their kids. So that's why I took the title. And it was, I thought about it before I did. I remember thinking, if you do this and fail, it will be even worse. The consequences will be compacted. Oh, look what he tried to do. He went for this giant. But I didn't want to attack him as, whatever the film genius they attribute to him. I wanted to attack his ideology and for what he did to America, so because we're still reeling from it. So I wanted to take that title back, reclaim it, resurface it, repurpose it as our own. So when our kids go Google search The Birth of a Nation, they have an option. And they have context.
It's already there.
That's
it's
exactly
already there.
right.
And in fact, this morning at least, the Wikipedia entry for your film was above the Wikipedia entry for his film.
Hallelujah.
Now, in a way, that's an uncomfortable but natural segue to talk to Mr. Hammer. You play a role that is... you play a role that is, I would sort of paraphrase something Nate said last night. You play a role that is very nuanced. Slave owners, in the way in which we talk about the history of America, they basically fall into, they're sociopathic guys and they did these terrible things and now we're going to stop them. You play Samuel Turner as a man who there's much more complex. He's a man who's caught in a system too. So I wanted to get a sense about how you came to this film and what playing that role was like.
Excuse me. I came to the film because I met Nate, basically, and that's really all it took. He showed up, we had a lunch meeting, and I think we ended up sitting down for 3 hours or something like that. Read the script, met this guy, and was like, there's no way I couldn't be a part of this project. This is amazing. This guy's going to do amazing things no matter what it does. I'm just going to hitch myself to his coattails, basically. But with the role of Samuel, you said it yourself, this is a guy who is caught in a system. I mean, he is a victim of a system, that has corrupted everything it touches. The way the Southern economy worked, the way that you had to harvest cotton at the time, the way that you had to work your fields, you couldn't do it without free labor. There was no physical way. The clothes would never get to the north. The economy of the South would go down. There was no way to do it without the free labor. So in a way, you have these people who are stuck now, born into this system where, Samuel inherited Nat. His dad died, and then Nat became his. It's a weird thing to think about, that you just inherited.
And they played together as friends, as toys,
totally. So they went from being friends to now you're mine in this weird way. And Samuel was a guy who was raised well. He had a good family. His dad was a pastor. His mom.
Yeah, Penelope plays his mother.
Yeah, his mom was this sweet, benevolent woman who taught Nat to read. Obviously the rules on this plantation were very different. And then he gets out there and sees the real world of what the actual life is like, and it eats away at this guy. But at the same time, he's caught in a vicious cycle because he's going to lose his plantation if he doesn't find a way to make money. And now he has a way to make money, and in a way, Nat becomes that, like his relationship with Nat is perverted to the sense of like, he's now nothing more than like a way to make money and almost like now we're at dinner, Nat, you pray, come on, do it. You know, like do your thing. Like it becomes like a parlor trick, but also at the same time, this guy, it's his friend. Like he grew up not seeing a difference of these two people. And then he then advanced and grew up in a system where he was forced to see the difference. And everybody who came in contact with this system was corrupted.
Well, I mean, at this point in the early 19th century, in fact, 20th century, I might add too, this was in the Constitution. There was science that was saying that this was true.
Right.
This was seen as like, well, we're helping. Yeah. Black America, we're helping blacks. They couldn't do anything without us. We're helping. This was seen as you said last night. These were people who thought they were the slave owners in the Southern economy and the North too thought they were doing good when they were doing bad.
Right. Let's be clear. Blacks or African American enslaved Africans at that time were 3/5 of a person. That was on the books. So when you think about the cognitive dissonance, when you think about, well, they're not really people, scientists would say, would say, oh, well, these slaves don't feel pain the same way as whites, right? Yeah. They would say the slave woman is naturally provocative and her very being entices the white men to want to sleep with her. So if a slave woman would, be raped by one of the slave masters, she could be beaten for being raped. This is so. Imagine,
and also, as happens in the film, they would take elements from, say, the Good Book and say, "Well, look what the Bible says. The Bible justifies it."
So imagine the trauma. You know what I mean? This wonderful book by Joy DeGruy is called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, and it kind of just breaks down all the things, the trauma that happened during slavery, and how so many of those things were passed down to all of us. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? One of the great Frederick Douglass quotes when he said basically when he became free and began the fight against injustice, he began to see the effect slavery had not only on the slave but on the slave owner, and how everyone was. And that's kind of the approach I had with this family. You know what I mean? Nat's family. Was there love? Yes, there was love. Those well intentions were well intended. Right? But can that take away from the fact that they held people in bondage? It cannot. So no amount of, I'm to deal with my cognitive dissonance, to deal with this feeling in my mind, I'm gonna teach them how to read. You know what I mean? It was like this constant, volley between, I know this is wrong, but I didn't create the system. Does that sound familiar? So I'm kind of gonna work in it, but kind of try to do good while I'm working it. So if I'm complicit, I'm not super complicit. I'm just complicit because I'm ignoring it, but I'm not active. Yeah. I'm not the person that's doing it. And it gives you the ability to point the finger, which a lot of slave films of old do. The sociopath is like, where is that black? I'm going to kill him. That wasn't, at least from my research, it was almost very seldom like that. Even the brutality in the film, if you listen to the dialogue, they're basically saying, look, if it isn't one thing, it's another. I have to make a living. And if they don't help me make a living, then I'm going to stop.
Or people say, well, this is the law.
It's a law.
You're breaking the law.
Yeah, exactly. It's not on me. You know what I mean? Yes, I have a slave. If he doesn't work, then I don't eat. So I'm going to make him eat. It's mathematics.
Nate just kind of very succinctly told about a very, very powerful scene in the movie where a slave owner forces someone. Yeah.
Slave owner does something that you will probably never forget.
Yeah, exactly. Penelope, to follow up on what Nate said, your role is a very, very, very interesting one in this because, as he said, you are the matriarch of the farm and of the family, and you encourage Nat. When you discover he can read, you teach him, but you're very circumspect about it. Some books are for him, some books aren't for him. And then as your husband dies and then your son takes over, you remove from the situation and then get re-engaged and watch this whole thing fall apart around you. For you as an actress, and such an established and well-respected actress, what was this role like?
It was very complex, as you say, and she, in those times, she was really a very progressive woman, a modern day woman, with these parameters, and yet she obviously saw this gift in this young boy, and whether she saw it as a way to enlighten her dull life of sitting around the house, but I think she also saw it as a blessing. And I think when it's illegal for an African American, especially a slave, to read, I think she probably convinced her husband, being that he was a preacher, well, if I teach him the Bible, it will be acceptable. And
And so she brought this boy in, but, he really became a son to her. I mean, there was a bond between Nat and Elizabeth. And then when, Samuel grows up and seeing sort of how he becomes corrupted by the system, the fact that he's a preacher to make money, and then seeing the deterioration of his soul, and seeing that all happen, and being torn between these two boys who I consider my sons. I mean, it's heart-wrenching, it's heartbreaking.
I wanted to ask all of the actors, actually, but with the exception of you, Nate, for a second. I wanted to ask all of the actors. Nate talks about this, breakneck speed you guys made this movie at. A very tight budget of under 10 million, and all the things that went into it. So, just as you can, we always wonder, what is it like on that other side? So what was it like making this film?
It was a true blessing from beginning to end. It really was. And it was, film sets are hierarchical, and the buck really does stop with the director or the actor who's number one on the call sheet. Nate happened to be both, and so he sets the tone and we take his lead. A brilliant way, actually. On our final day in Savannah, it was about 105 degrees, and Nate has this costume that's buttoned up to the very top, and the first thing I say to him is, dude, are you tired? And he's like, no, I could shoot this whole thing again. And when that attitude comes from the director, there is no way that you can argue about a chair not being in the right place. There is no way that you can say, oh, my knees hurt a little bit if I'm kneeling on the floor. So every single thing, it's not to diminish how hard it was, because it really was a grueling shoot, but I learned so much in the process. And my first film in America, it's the same job, obviously, but it's a really nice way to start here. And again, so many superlatives are going to be thrown Nate's way, and all of them are deserved. But as far as that's concerned, of the experience, it was a wonderful and hard experience. But it was great to be shepherded by Nate, and also by all the production, all the producers, and they were on set sweating it with us. So it was great.
I just have, sorry, Penelope, I don't mean to, but that's interesting you said about this being your first film in America. Do you think British audiences, German audiences, French audiences, Canadian audiences, do you think they're gonna feel this story?
100%. It's like, so Nate, before I signed on, Nate and I had a conversation. Again, it's much the same thing, that you have your ideas. I read the script, it's a brilliant script, and you discuss it. But then as soon as you hear Nate speak about his passion for it and about the story at large and about the importance of it, these are human themes. Like, I'm very lucky in that I come from England, and we have Shakespeare. Like, Shakespeare is the world's, but we sort of have an appropriation of him. And I've performed a lot in my career. And the reason Shakespeare exists now, still after 400 years, is because those are human themes that touch all of us. Jealousy, passion, love. Nate and everyone involved, what we've managed to achieve is a human story. So whether you're in Germany, Japan, Korea, this really, really will relate to people. And more specifically on the African experience. That's not purely an African-American experience. Africans in the diaspora have a similar experience no matter where they are in the world. And I've been very fortunate to travel, and I can be walking down the street in Tokyo, and if I see a black man walking down the street the other way, there's a certain connection that we have and a certain nod that we'll do, because we understand that there is a certain, there's a certain thing that comes with that, and that's, I love America. I love living here, and the history is so rich, and it's so short and so dramatic, but these stories are so important, not just for America, certainly not just for African Americans, not just for America, but I think this is a global idea. There are global themes in this that will really reach everyone.
Timely themes.
Yeah.
I was just
sorry, by the way, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I just was going to add about the experience with Nate. He just created, when you were talking about the 27-day shoot and how grueling that can be, and he created such an incredible environment for the crew, not just the actors, but the crew, the graciousness, the appreciation he showed every single person on that set. Off, behind the camera, he knew everybody by name. He thanked everybody. I would get a call sometimes, after work, late in the day or the next day, and he'd say, I just just called to say, you did some beautiful work yesterday. I mean, to get a director to call me when they're in the middle of shooting, I mean, who does that? It was astounding to me, the gratitude, but it went down from the transportation to the grips to the PAs to the caterers, and he did that every day. It wasn't just in the beginning, like rah, let's shoot a movie and we're just starting. It was all the way to the end, and because of that, everybody wanted to work for Nate to make this film. They cared, they showed up, they would do anything for him, and the film finished on time. That's why we could overcome, the hurdles that they overcame, and I think that's why you have the product that you have, is because of the love and the passion that went into it from everybody.
I want to add.
Every single weekend, Nate sent out an email to the 100+ crew members that were working on the film, a truly impassionate email that I've never seen a director do on a consistent basis before, thanking everybody for the work that they did over the past week, and then getting everybody knew that, and it made, like Penelope said, everybody work that much harder.
Army, you were going to say?
I was just going to add, logistically, to go back to what you were saying about the breakneck pace of us shooting this movie, I think we did what we had to get the movie done. They did what they had to specifically to get the movie done. But you never felt a sacrifice. Like, there was never a day where you finished a day and went, I wish we had 2 more setups and then we could really shoot something.
Which is rare on a film.
Extremely rare. I mean, you do large budget movies where that'll happen. But on this one, it seemed like it was a mixture of Nate's efficiency, the way they had prepped everything to the nth degree. Everything was established and ready, and there was no deliberation, ever. Everybody seemed completely solid and knew what we were doing, and it made for a really quick pace that didn't feel quick.
Army, you've worked with so many people, and this is Nate's first film as a director. What do you think he's going forward as a director? You think the guy's got a gig?
Okay, that's one of the reasons that I took this movie. I mean, there's a myriad of reasons I took this movie, but that was one of them, because I have worked with a bunch of great directors, and I would ultimately one day love to direct. So I thought, this is a first-time director who's an actor, who also wrote and is going to star in this, which is crazy. So that even adds that much more to his yoke of handling this movie. So I want to see how it goes. I want to see what catches him by surprise. I want to see what he's ready for. I want to see what he's not ready for. I want to see what he loses it over, because it could be an incredible learning experience for me without having to actually go through that myself.
Thank you.
Oh, you can say that now. After $17.5 million.
So he shows up on the first day, and I kid you not, walks on set and goes, set that camera up, put that lens over there, bring me a viewfinder with this lens, move that light 6 feet that way, all right, bring me the actors, get them on their marks, blah, blah, blah. He came at it with so much confidence and force. It seemed like he directed 50 movies, and he was just going through the paces. It was amazing. You couldn't tell it was a first-time director at all.
Guys, we really appreciate you all being here and people watching on the live stream. We have to wrap it up soon, but I have one last question for you, Nate, which is, last night you spoke, I thought, very movingly and very eloquently about the honesty of this film and about the power of this film, and about without confrontation you don't have healing. You also talked about how you thought this film had a lot of echoes into 2016. So I wanted to ask you as a final question, what do you think this film can tell us about our time right now?
Well, I think that it can tell us that there are systems in place that we did not create, that we are a part of. And a lot of the elements of those systems are corrupt. They're pulling us down, holding us back, burying us. And we have the power to be the change we want to see, but we just need something to push us there, to get us that step, to just that wind behind us, to make us have the courage to put ourselves out there. So for what this film is for me, and and the way I offer it to you, I said last night, I carried it for 7 years. It's yours now. You know what I mean? Anyone that sees this film, you come here and you sit in front of me, you're on the team. You've been recruited. You have a job. You can't, once you know it, you can't unknow it. We're dependent on you, because injustice doesn't have a color. It doesn't have a, it's translated into different languages, but injustice is injustice. Injustice is justice, right? Corrupt systems are corrupt systems, right? So if we can agree to that, right, then we should be able to empathize when we see people that are victimized by these systems. We should have an opinion. We should develop a riotous disposition toward those injustices, in the same way that Nat Turner did. Nat Turner, what did he have? He couldn't leave his plantation. He had farm tools. That's how they fought, right? But could you imagine if Nat Turner had Twitter or Facebook or Instagram? You know, had an Instagram post that was like, we going this way or this way. You know, it's like they use the tools they were given, right? And here we are in 2016 dealing with systems that are corrupt, that are pulling us back, right? And we hide under, you know, political sides. Oh, I'm right wing, left wing, I'm liberal, I'm conservative. That's nonsense when it comes down to it. Because the injustices are injustices, whether it be racial injustice, you know, gender injustice, sexual injustice, whatever the injustice, it is our job to hit them. Right? To be bullies toward that. And it rises around you, don't shrug it off. You know, if I had a dollar for every time, you know, let's say one of my white friends was like, you know, it's crazy how, you know, I was at work and you know, this whole thing, you know, with Trayvon Martin came around and I started to learn how people felt, you know, with respect to race relations. Someone I go and play poker with, we hang out, all of a sudden, I get to hear him talk about something that has to do with race and I realize that we couldn't be more different if I wanted us to be, you know? Those are the times, the opportunities for us to stand up. Because then in doing that, we inspire other people to have the courage to do it. No longer do we have to be oppressed by systems and then just shrug it off as we didn't build it. Unless you don't want to have kids. I mean, if you don't feel like having kids, it's just you go wherever you want, do whatever you want. Hey, you're not tethered, I get it. But I have children, you know, and if I'm blessed enough, those children have children. And one day I'll be gone, and someone will ask them about me, and I'm not saying I've changed the world, but I want them to have something to point to that they're proud of, you know, an effort. Maybe I don't change everything, but an effort to say, well, yeah, my great-granddad tried, look what he did. You know, that's legacy. You know, I don't want to leave more problems.
There are no problems there. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a full on to Mr. Nate Parker and the cast and the producers of The Birth of a Nation. Thank you so much for joining us today.